Okay, so this is huge. Like massive. Like the biggest Star Wars news in years. Kathleen Kennedy is stepping down as president of Lucasfilm after 14 years. And Dave Filoni, George Lucas's hand-picked protege, the guy behind The Mandalorian and The Clone Wars, is taking over as president and chief creative officer. Star Wars fans are losing their minds. Some are celebrating like it's a holiday. Others are cautiously optimistic. But everyone agrees this is a seismic shift for the franchise. So let me break down everything that just happened. Why Kennedy is leaving. What her legacy actually is despite what angry fans say. Who Dave Filoni is and why he's controversial too. And what this means for the future of Star Wars. Because this is way more complicated than Kennedy bad, Filoni good. Let's get into it. The announcement came on Thursday, January 15, 2026. Disney and Lucasfilm released a joint statement revealing that Kathleen Kennedy would be stepping down from her role as president. She'll transition to being a full-time producer working on The Mandalorian and Grogu movie coming in May and Star Wars Starfighter coming in 2027. So she's not completely leaving the Star Wars universe. But she's no longer running the studio. And that's huge. Taking her place will be two people. Dave Filoni as president and chief creative officer. And Lynwen Brennan as co-president handling the business side. This is a common Disney structure. They've done it with Pixar and Disney Animation. One person handles creative. One person handles operations and budgets. And they work together. Filoni will report to Alan Bergman, who's co-chairman of Disney Entertainment. So Filoni has the creative keys to the kingdom, but he's not completely autonomous. Disney is still Disney. Now let's talk about Kathleen Kennedy's tenure because it's incredibly polarizing. On paper, her 14 years at Lucasfilm were massively successful. She took over in 2012 when George Lucas sold the company to Disney for $4.05 billion. And under her leadership, Lucasfilm made $5.6 billion at the global box office. That's a massive return on investment. She produced the sequel trilogy, which includes The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. She oversaw Rogue One, which is beloved by fans. She produced Solo, which flopped but has since gained a cult following. And most importantly, she ushered Star Wars into the streaming era with Disney Plus shows like The Mandalorian, Andor, The Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka, and more. Those shows earned 85 Emmy nominations. Andor alone got 22 noms and won 5 Emmys. By any objective measure, Kennedy's tenure was financially and critically successful. But here's where it gets complicated. A very loud and very angry segment of Star Wars fans hates Kathleen Kennedy. Like, genuinely despises her. They blame her for everything they perceive as wrong with modern Star Wars. The Last Jedi is the primary source of rage. That movie, directed by Rian Johnson, made some bold choices that divided the fanbase. Luke Skywalker was portrayed as a broken, disillusioned hermit. Rey's parents were nobody. Snoke was killed anticlimactically. The film had progressive themes about failure and letting the past die. And a significant portion of fans absolutely hated it. They felt betrayed. They felt like their childhood hero Luke was ruined. And they blamed Kennedy for allowing it to happen. Then came The Rise of Skywalker, which tried to course correct and appease angry fans but ended up being a mess that satisfied no one. It retconned The Last Jedi. Brought back Palpatine out of nowhere. Rushed through plot points. And felt like a studio product designed by committee rather than a coherent story. Again, fans blamed Kennedy. They said she had no plan for the trilogy. That she let directors do whatever they wanted. Without oversight. That she prioritized diversity and representation over good storytelling. And then there's The Acolyte. The 2024 Disney Plus show that was outright rejected by a toxic segment of the fanbase. The show featured a diverse cast. A queer relationship. female protagonists. And some fans review bombed it before it even aired. They called it woke Star Wars. They harassed the cast, especially Amandla Stenberg, online. The show was cancelled after one season and Kennedy was blamed for greenlighting it in the first place. But here's what's important to understand. A lot of the criticism Kennedy faces is rooted in misogyny and culture war nonsense. Yes, some of the creative decisions under her tenure were questionable. Yes, the sequel trilogy lacked a cohesive plan. But the level of vitriol she receives is disproportionate. Male executives make bad decisions all the time and don't face the same level of personal attacks. Kennedy has been called every name in the book. There are YouTube channels dedicated to hating her. Fans have made her the villain of Star Wars. And a lot of that is because she's a woman in a position of power in a franchise that some fans feel belongs to them. It's also worth noting that Kennedy is one of the most successful producers in Hollywood history. Before Lucasfilm, she co-founded Amblin Entertainment with Steven Spielberg. She produced E.T. Jurassic Park, Back to the Future, Schindler's List, The Sixth Sense, Lincoln. 70-plus films. 25 Academy Awards. Over 120 nominations. She won the Irving G. Thalberg Memorial Award in 2018, which is basically a Lifetime Achievement Oscar for producers. This woman knows how to make movies. She's a legend. But because she made some Star Wars decisions that angry fans didn't like, she's treated like she's incompetent. Now let's talk about Dave Filoni. He's being positioned as the savior of Star Wars. The guy who understands George Lucas's vision. The guy who respects the lore. The guy who gave us The Mandalorian, which is universally loved. And a lot of that is true. Filoni has been with Lucasfilm since 2005. He was handpicked by George Lucas to create the animated series The Clone Wars. That show is considered one of the best pieces of Star Wars content ever made. It expanded the prequel era. It gave depth to Anakin Skywalker. It introduced beloved characters like Ahsoka Tano. Filoni proved he understood Star Wars on a fundamental level. He then created Star Wars Rebels, another excellent animated series. And when Jon Favreau pitched The Mandalorian, Filoni came on as executive producer, co-showrunner, and director of multiple episodes. The Mandalorian was a phenomenon. It saved Disney Plus in its early days. It introduced Baby Yoda Grogu, who became a cultural icon. It told a simple story about a bounty hunter and a kid that felt like classic Star Wars. Fans loved it. And they credited Filoni. But here's where it gets tricky. Filoni's live-action work is more mixed. He created Ahsoka, which was tepidly received. Some fans loved seeing their animated characters in live action. Others thought the show was slow and confusing. He's also been involved in the Book of Boba Fett, which was criticized for being boring and mishandling the character. So Filoni isn't a perfect golden boy. He's made missteps too. And now he's in charge of all of Star Wars. Movies. TV shows. Animation. Everything. That's a massive responsibility. And there's no guarantee he'll succeed. The other concern is that Filoni is primarily a TV guy. He's made his name in television and animation. He's never directed a feature film. And Star Wars needs to figure out its theatrical future. The last Star Wars movie was The Rise of Skywalker in 2019. That's 7 years without a Star Wars film in theaters. Lucasfilm has announced multiple movies over the years. Rian Johnson's trilogy. A trilogy from Game of Thrones showrunners. Taika Waititi's film. Patty Jenkins's Rogue Squadron. Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy's Rey movie. And almost all of them have stalled or been quietly cancelled. Can Filoni actually get movies made? Or will he focus on Disney Plus shows because that's his comfort zone? There's also the question of creative vision. George Lucas had a singular vision for Star Wars. It was his baby. His universe. His rules. Kathleen Kennedy tried to manage that universe by hiring different directors and giving them creative freedom. That led to tonal inconsistency but also some interesting experiments. What will Filoni's approach be? Will every Star Wars project feel like his vision? Will they all connect to The Mandalorian and the Clone Wars? Will he bring back fan-favorite characters and lean into nostalgia? Or will he try to push Star Wars in new directions? We don't know. And that uncertainty is both exciting and terrifying for fans. Lynwen Brennan is the other part of the equation. She's been with Lucasfilm since 1999. She worked her way up through Industrial Light and Magic. She became president of ILM in 2009. And she's been president and general manager of Lucasfilm business operations since 2015. So she knows the company inside and out. Her job will be to make sure projects stay on budget and on schedule. To manage the business side while Filoni handles creative. That's smart. Because Filoni can focus on storytelling without worrying about logistics and finances. But it also means Filoni doesn't have complete control. If a project is too expensive or risky, Brennan can push back. That balance could be good. Or it could lead to tension. So what's next for Star Wars? Well, The Mandalorian and Grogu movie is coming May 22, 2026. That's Filoni and Jon Favreau co-writing and Favreau directing. Then Star Wars Starfighter from director Sean Levy is coming in 2027. Those are the only confirmed theatrical releases. On the TV side, Ahsoka Season 2 is in production. Andor Season 2 is coming. Skeleton Crew just finished its first season. And there are rumors of more Mandalorian spin-offs. So Disney Plus will continue to be the main home for Star Wars content, at least in the short term. But fans want movies. They want the theatrical experience. They want Star Wars to feel like an event again. And that's where Filoni will be judged. Can he deliver a slate of films that excite audiences and make money? Can he bring back the magic of the original trilogy? Or will Star Wars continue to be primarily a streaming franchise? Time will tell. The reaction to this news has been fascinating. On social media you have two camps. Camp 1 is celebrating Kennedy's departure. They're posting memes. Cheering. Saying Star Wars is saved. Some of the comments are genuinely cruel. They're attacking Kennedy personally. Calling her names. It's ugly. And it reveals the toxic side of fandom. Camp 2 is more measured. They're acknowledging Kennedy's accomplishments while also recognizing her mistakes. They're cautiously optimistic about Filoni but also realistic about the challenges ahead. And they're pushing back against the misogyny and hate. Star Wars celebrities have also weighed in. Mark Hamill has worked with both Kennedy and Filoni and respects both. He's stayed neutral. Daisy Ridley, who played Rey, defended Kennedy in the past and will likely continue to. Adam Driver has been critical of how his Ben Solo movie was cancelled under Kennedy's watch, so his feelings are complicated. And Rosario Dawson, who plays Ahsoka, has been a vocal supporter of Filoni. So there's a range of opinions even among the people who work in this world. Disney CEO Bob Iger released a statement thanking Kennedy for her service and praising her vision. He called her a pioneer and said Lucasfilm wouldn't be what it is today without her. That's classy. But it's also standard corporate speak. The reality is Disney probably wanted Kennedy out. Not because she failed but because the fanbase turned on her. And Disney cares about fan sentiment because fans buy tickets and subscriptions. So this change is as much about optics as it is about creative direction. George Lucas, who handpicked Kennedy to succeed him, hasn't publicly commented yet. But insiders say he's supportive of Filoni's promotion. Lucas mentored Filoni for years. He trusts him. And Lucas has been critical of some of the creative choices made under Kennedy, especially the sequel trilogy, which he felt didn't honor his original vision. So Lucas is probably pleased by this change. So what's my take? I think Kathleen Kennedy's legacy is more complicated than either her defenders or her detractors want to admit. She made Star Wars a financial juggernaut. She expanded the universe in meaningful ways. She gave us The Mandalorian and Andor and Rogue One. But she also presided over a divisive sequel trilogy. She failed to get theatrical films into production. And she lost the trust of a significant portion of the fanbase. Those are all true. And they can coexist. As for Dave Filoni, I'm cautiously optimistic. I love The Clone Wars and The Mandalorian. But I also think he has weaknesses as a live-action storyteller. And I worry that Star Wars under Filoni will be too insular. Too focused on fan service and connecting everything to previous shows. Star Wars needs new stories. New characters. New ideas. If Filoni just keeps making Mandalorian spin-offs and animated show adaptations, the franchise will stagnate. But if he can balance nostalgia with innovation, if he can make movies that feel fresh while honoring what came before, then he could be exactly what Star Wars needs. The bottom line is, this is a huge moment for Star Wars. The Kennedy era is over. The Filoni era is beginning. And nobody knows how it's going to go. Fans are hopeful. But hope is a dangerous thing in the Star Wars fandom. We've been burned too many times. So let's see what happens. Let's see if Filoni can deliver. And let's hope that the next chapter of Star Wars is one we can all enjoy together without the toxic hate and division. What do you think? Are you happy Kathleen Kennedy is stepping down? Do you trust Dave Filoni to run Star Wars? And what do you want to see from the franchise moving forward? Let me know in the comments. And subscribe, because I'll be covering every Star Wars development as the Filoni era unfolds. This is just the beginning. May the Force be with you.